Hey there, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm not going to talk anything technical, at least explicitly, but I just want to share my experience as somebody who's been working on building a product for the last couple of years, almost full time, for the most part, right? First things first, right? If you are watching this and you've been thinking about building something for a while, but it just doesn't happen for a variety of reasons, and you're waiting for the best time, my first piece of advice would be just don't wait, right? Now is the best time, right? Do it today, do it, don't even delay it to tomorrow. Make a plan, start executing, because if you keep waiting for that, the best right moment, it might be a while, right? And then in hindsight, you're going to look back and be like, you'll be like, okay, why did I not do this a few years ago? Actually, that's the only thing I ask myself. I'm super excited about having made this decision to doing our work pretty much full time since early part of 2019. We went live with our web platform at the end of that year, and then we launched our mobile apps, as a lot of you know from my postings, towards the latter part of last year, 2020. That the web app was the year before, 2019, and then we worked on the mobile platform alongside the web apps, and we launched the mobile apps to the Android, the the Play and App stores last year, right? And now we are continuing to improve, stabilize, scale, add more features, build more services, both horizontally and vertically, right? So that's just the background if you don't already know what we do. But coming to the crux of this video, only thing I ask myself is, why did I not start doing this full time like 5 years ago, right? Or perhaps even before. But again, life is different, and each of us has certain commitments and what we want to be able to what we are responsible for and what we need to get done with before we can do some other things, right? That's personal. For each of us it's different, but you want to do whatever it is that you want to do, like today, right? And if your heart and soul is in it, there's no point delaying it, right? Delaying it any further than you might already have done so, because I say this with a couple of things in mind. One is, you have an idea in mind and you want to start executing it. And let's say you tell yourself, hey, I want to give myself 3 to 6 months to get this done. Sure, you can work to those deadlines, and you have to. So, your release, the RTM doesn't get pushed out. But trust me, if you're a small shop, there's going to be a ton of things that you did not anticipate that are going to come your way. Because, when I started doing this, I've done this from an engineering standpoint for a long time. So I was not particularly worried about that. I knew maybe it'll take me an extra day, extra week, extra month, but I knew for sure that I could get it done. But I did not know what the other unknowns were. So it's not like I knew what the other items could be or should be in that list. As long as I've done this, because I've worked for large, mid-sized, small shops, but when you work for other companies, you have a set of responsibilities and you're focused on achieving, making sure you do them well. You don't necessarily get the big picture, right? The smaller the company, the better the chance of getting that big picture, is what I've seen personally. When you're working for a much larger organization, there's a lot of people, and you're doing huge things, right? So you need separate departments and teams and groups of people to be solely dedicated for those activities. So you may or may not get the opportunity to getting your hands and feet wet on a variety of different items. When you start working for really, really small companies and small shops that cannot afford to hire a lot of talented people across a variety of departments, then the onus is on you. And I'll take some specific examples in my case, right? Just to give you a better idea. So, for instance, like I mentioned, I wasn't worried about the engineering side of things, but I was worried about the list of things I did not know that there would have to be before you could go live. I had a notion, but I hadn't done that before, so sure, I did not know exactly what that list was. Now I do know, right? Having pushed our app, deployed like 255 times for each of the repos to production servers, and we have multiple apps, so it adds up to like close to 700 deployments. And then we've done about like 55 deployments to the app and Play stores, right? And I've done every single one of them, literally. So I know exactly what it entails. But I did not know what it was like a year and a half before. I had an idea, but till you do it, it's like driving. When you sit next to somebody and watch, you understand the rules of the road, you understand the streets, or you believe you do, or you feel you do. But when you're in the driver's seat, it's quite different, right? You have to watch for certain things. You need to anticipate some things, and depending on where you're driving, which part of the world, you have more or less to anticipate. You may lose directions and all that kind of stuff. So I guess you get the idea. So one of those items, there's not one actually, there's 10 things that I've learned during the course of these last 18 months that I knew very little about. Not saying I know a lot about them today, but I certainly believe I know a little bit more than what I did like a year and a half back. The list of items, I think I even wrote a blog on what the types of roles that make up a small shop, a small software company. I'll probably add a link to that so you can look that up if you are interested. But back to what I was trying to say earlier, one of the items that I had no clue about was, say, creating marketing campaigns. Campaigns on like Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, and Google Ads, and a lot of these other places. And I realized each of them work quite differently from the other, and that warrants a video in itself. And that's just one of the things, right? There's many different things. That's just one of the items that I had like literally no clue about, right? So you try, and plus we can't yet afford a creative team. So we live with my creativity or lack thereof. Basically, all of the content you see in terms of infographics and images and videos is me trying to come up with that stuff, which is literally a distraction for me, right? When I'm doing that, I'm not architecting or coding or thinking about the next set of product management requirements. It's me doing that in lieu of something else that I probably have to be doing. I just realized that this light is on the way, but hopefully, clearly, I always want to do a video which is much better in its technical quality. Just don't necessarily have the time or sometimes even the room to have that happen. So apologies if you see something sticking out like this. Back to, sorry for the digression. So if you have an idea in mind, just start doing it, because you're going to realize that as you start implementing, your thought process is going to change, right? You're going to have to iteratively do it. Agile, we throw all these buzzwords. I'm not a fan of any of these words, but I think even before all of these words existed, or jargons or terminologies, if it doesn't matter if it's software or something else, if you're starting out and doing something and you want to do it right and to the best of your abilities, you want to start sooner, and you want to do them in small increments, so you can sort of reflect on whether or not it works for you, even after having been in production for a little bit and building another new service. We've done quite a few services already, and a number of features and a ton of enhancements, right? So none of this is new in terms of the problem domain itself. But then I started designing or thinking through the product management side of things for this next service. And I have to say I did like 12 voice memo recordings, averaged about 8 minutes a piece. So you could tell, it was a lot of details. But then when I started drawing it out, as poorly as I do, drawing the first screen out after I did all of those recordings, my next question to myself was, oh my God, would this actually fit into our existing architecture, or would that fit in gracefully enough so we can deliver this in the time frames we have in mind? Now, if you have a larger team than us, which I'm sure you do, right? You're probably more than a 4-person company. In that case, you want to make sure you collaborate with the other team members, so there is no gap. So there are pros and cons of doing them in isolation and making it mutually exclusive. You could do justice to each of those activities, but again, it adds little value if those don't work coherently in the context of your resources, your budgets, and your timelines and deliverables, right? So you have to keep that in mind. So being idealistic and trying to build this next beautiful thing is great. But if you want to have it see the light of day, you have to make some compromises, and you have to do them quickly. That's one thing I've learned. So hopefully some part of that helped you. Talk to you soon.